Okay, for today, I plan to speak about the social media. Social media are, as many other new things that even 20 years ago they didn't exist. At first one social media that started working is, as a matter of fact, the one that was mostly assessed as most serious social media. It's LinkedIn, started in 2003. After that, nearly a year after that, Facebook started in 2004, and Twitter in 2006. Finally, with Instagram 2010, we have most important social media that are all immature, as a matter of fact. I'm engineer, and I was used to follow the technology in that was connected with my life and business in any way. But when social media appears, I was kind of skeptic about that. That was I didn't treat it as something serious. I understood it's something for gaming or for socializing, for meeting the people, just for the making fun and private. Now, with less than 20 years after that, we all know the power of social media, that it became so serious that nobody thinks about social media anymore like something no serious, and it is present only not only in our lives but in our business, and most important companies don't take it for granted that social media is something just for having fun. They all counting very much on the marketing, on market investigation, etc. Up to the politics, including the politics. They also are making campaigns using social media. So finally, we cannot work and live without social media. Maybe even these things that were happening to us recently with COVID-19 situation will improve some things that were already on the way to be a big part of our lives and business. So to speak about social media as any other topic, I am starting speaking here in this webinar. I'm trying always to invite somebody that not only knows something about that, but is a specialist in that topic, and not only that, even the people that are teaching the others and teach the people who teach the others in that that topics. For today, I have a man that was my instructor when I was in Orlando 2016. I don't know if he remembers that, but he was my instructor in Orlando 2016 when I was having to pass the courses for instructor of ABR, to become instructor of ABR course. And after that, I was meeting him on the NAR conferences. He is participating and teaching on more than 150 engagements during a year, up to the NAR conferences and other big events. The people call him real estate tech guru, and his name is Craig Grant. I invite Craig. Hello, Craig. Thank you for answering my invitation and to accept the invitation to participate in this series of webinars. I'm trying to bring the people that are really top speakers and real estate industry specialists in the world, in United States, particularly in other countries, to bring to this area of Eastern Europe. But not only that, we have friends and colleagues that are from United States, from South America, from Asia, etc. I would say hello to Rosie Papagiannis from Florida. She is your neighbor there. And all the people that are taking care of how to improve their skills and to be in touch with the most recent things in our business, to listen these webinars and to see what can take to improve their business after this. So Craig, tell me, is this COVID situation improve acceptance of social media, or just stay on the line, or it's is it changing something, or it is the line that is previously already taken?
In my opinion, I think if anything, the whole coronavirus situation, everyone being sheltered at home, has probably boosted social media a lot. In fact, if you've looked at the traffic numbers, social media sites over the last month and a half, they've actually grown considerably. And what I'm going to teach you, part of what I'm going to teach you in the session, is how to use social media to really connect with your customers and consumers, not just generating leads and business, but really fostering and keeping relationships. And to me, that's become vital right now with social media. I mean, how else are you going to keep in contact with people other than these little kind of Zoom meetings than touching with them through social media? Because you can't get together with them in person. But again, the usage of social media sites has exploded even more over the last month, because what else have people have to do? And people really are looking for that human touch and human connection. And social media brings you that. And you're even seeing some sites growing more than others we're going to talk about, like TikTok has exploded over this time. Instagram's really going crazy. But again, the sites, what I'm going to teach you is not just how to do social media, but I always call it doing it right and doing it in just a few minutes a day. Because I'm sure most of you on this session, no matter what part of the world you're from, in real estate, you don't have hours a day dedicated to social media. You have just a few minutes here and there. I mean, you're so busy already running around typically that you don't have time to dedicate to social media. So I try to teach a very realistic model that you can go home and implement very easily to succeed. But also you're going to see it's based on proven strategies of really how to do social media the right way. If that makes sense. But again, I think social media is probably more important than ever right now because of the lack of human contact everyone's having.
Sometimes I think there are so much these different applications and different platforms that are using that we will be offloaded with that. And it was very interesting for me when you when we were agreeing about what we will speak today, that you tell us we can do some things successfully with taking only 15 minutes a day. That's great.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm on more ears.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's got to be a realistic game plan, because I've been to some other social media experts sessions before that are great speakers, but they talk about things that I just think are unrealistic, like dedicating a couple hours a day to social media. It's not realistic to pull off. And more importantly, you're going to see the science behind it doesn't work. Like, I'm going to teach you how to game the algorithms and get more free exposure on the sites. And you're going to see it's not about how much time you spend on the site, it's how frequently you go to the site. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons why we're going to teach you the 15-minute-a-day model. And by the way, just to kind of give you a little kind of precursor to the 15-minute model, it's per site you take on. So in other words, if you only do one site, you're only spending 15 minutes a day. If you're not doing two sites, you're doing 30 minutes a day. But the 15 minutes per site is not even 15 minutes consecutively. It's 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, and 5 minutes in the evening. So it's popping it in and out to the same site a couple of times a day. But you're also going to see, one of the things I'm going to coach you is you don't want to take on too many social media sites. If you take on too many, you end up spreading yourself too thin. You end up doing a bad job on all of them. So it's really just picking the right sites for yourself. We're going to go through each of the major social media sites and kind of give you a quick little primer on, here's Instagram, and here's Instagram's audience, and here's who should use Instagram. Here's, Nextdoor, and here's who should use it. Okay. So you're going to see what I mean by, you're only going to want to pick a site or two based on your own time availability and which ones match up with your own business model the best and what kind of client you're trying to reach the best, because each site has totally different audiences than the next one. So that's a big piece of what we're going to teach you in this session. Does that make sense?
Okay, let's go.
All right, sounds good. So let me just get to the screen share really fast. All right, so you guys should now be seeing my slide deck, which is all about the social media success in just 15 minutes a day. And by the way, Slavs already gave a pretty good introduction to me, but just so you know, one thing that I try to do is always, and I do this anytime I speak in an event or teach a class or whatever, is I share my slide decks with my students. So if you see the link up on the screen, the reti.us/CG events, if you want to download this entire session, and this is actually a much bigger class than what we're doing today because we're trying to whittle this down just under an hour. But if you want to download the entire slide deck, you're more than welcome to go to that link. All you have to do is sign with your name and email address, and it sends you to a page to download any of my classes, not just this one. So that should help you kind of follow along, not worry about writing every word I'm going to say. So that being said, when I teach social media, I pretty much assume just about everybody in the crowd is pretty clueless and have no idea what they're doing. And I'm sure most of you guys in this room right now are probably either confused or really not getting the results you're looking for. And everything you've tried in social media just flat out isn't working. You're kind of pulling your hair out if you have it. And you're probably so scared if I put one more pancake on your plate, like you're so busy already, it's all going to fall apart on you. Okay. And the bottom line is everyone is extremely busy these days, even before the situation we're dealing with now, and everyone's fighting to get through the day. And that's really why I built out the 15-minute model, is realizing the average realtor and the average business person doesn't have a lot of time to dedicate to social media. So what we're going to teach you in this hour is we're going to talk about a couple things you probably have never really thought about when it comes to social media, like the science of social media. We're going to teach you how to quickly come up with your own personal game plan, what you're going to say and do out there on social media. We're going to help you with time management skills and tools. The key to pulling off 15 minutes a day is not struggling to come up with ideas and content every day. It's having a good game plan for time management as well. And we're also going to then get into the psychology. We're going to kind of break down all the major sites so you can decide which ones you may or may not use. Okay. So let's start off really quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
Can we see the slide bigger in the slideshow mode?
It should be full screen. Let me.
We see the time up, of that, and it is smaller than.
Let me see if I can get rid of that really
the
quickly.
window. Well, it's bigger now.
Nope, but then I just lost
Okay.
it.
No. In slideshow mode, maybe.
Yep. No, it is in slideshow mode.
No, then it's okay.
Okay. So the first topic we're going to cover is the science of social media. And again, this is something that you never hear most people talk about. But when I talk about the 15-minute model, it's built on science. So I always say this is probably the most important slides we're going to cover because it literally is the science. If you start at the bottom at the person's feet, if you go to any social media site and post less than once a week, which means you have no schedule set up whatsoever, you just try to randomly post every once in a while, see if you get any results, expect 0 results. You'll get 0.02 comments anytime you randomly post on a site. If you increase your activity to 1 to 7 times a week on that same site, it only increases to 1/3 of a comment every post you do. But if you can now increase your activity to 8 or more times a week on the same site, which is really our 15-minute model, 5 minutes in the morning, you do a post, 5 minutes in the afternoon, maybe you reply to some people and do a second post. Now we're above 8 times a week. And now the interaction increases to over 10 comments every time you post, okay? And that's the key to social media is it's not about spending 2 hours on a site. It's about going to the site, the same site, more than once a day. And that way the consumers know you're there all the time, interact with you more. And more importantly, the social media sites reward you as a power user. And what I mean by reward you, if you go to the same site more than 8 times a week, they now kind of label you as a power user. And you'll get more free exposure every time you post. So instead of your typical post only being seen by, let's say, 40 people every time you're posting, now you might go up to 100 or 200 people seeing your post just because now the site thinks you're a frequent power user. So it's about going to the same site more than once a day is a key. And the other thing is, I'm sure you've heard the word algorithm thrown on a lot in the social media world. Twitter changed their algorithm. Facebook changed their algorithm. What it really means is these sites are collecting an incredible amount of data. They know everything you're doing, not just what you're commenting and clicking on. If you pause your screen for a few seconds to watch a video of puppies, they now know you like puppies. If you stop and look at a photo of a nice sunset, now they're assuming you like sunsets. So they are tracking everything you're doing on these sites, every interaction, no matter what you're doing. And the thing you need to realize is how to game the algorithm. Because the biggest factor in the algorithm these days is how often you go to the same and how much site you're doing on the site. So it's the more than 1 time a day on a site is what gets you the most free exposure, okay? That's a big piece of the 50-day model. It's not about using 6 sites and doing a bad job on 6. It's about picking a site or two and spending your most time you can on that site or two and crushing it to get the most free exposure out of it. Okay, so that's your science. The second piece is you got to have somewhat of a game plan of who you're going to be and what you're going to talk about on the site. Okay, and by the way, before we get into the how to do social media, I always first knock out the why. Why would you use social media? And why does every business really focus on social media? Well, it's a little concept called the social graph. Facebook invented the social graph. On Facebook, it is the like button, it is the share button, it's all the amazing amount of data collection that Facebook is doing and everything else, okay? So with Facebook, they're using, again, the like, the share, and the data collection, but every site has copied this now and now is utilizing the social graph. But to explain it, we'll use Facebook really quickly. So let's say you set up a business page on Facebook, which is free and takes under a minute to do. It's very easy to set up a business page these days. And then somebody goes and likes your page. Not the little post you did this morning, but they like the page itself. What it means is that person's now a subscriber. And from this day forward, every time you post on your business page, there's a good chance it shows up in that person's personal news feed. But here's the more important part. It shows up in some of their friends' feeds also. So just because the first person clicked the like button, you're now getting free exposure into their friends' feeds. And only does it show up in their feed, it even says, and your friend Alexander likes Craig's business, validating that he trusts and likes me. So this is all about the fact we like and trust our friends, okay? And now let's put that in some numbers. You get one person to click your like button, they have 500 friends. The next time you do a post, some of the 500 will see it in their feeds as well. Now multiply this. You get 500 people to click your like button, they have 500 friends each. Now you theoretically could have up to 250,000 people seeing your post in their feed. And now they're really trusting. It's not just Alexander that likes my business. It's also Rosie and Tom and George and Lauren and all these other friends of yours like and trust my business. So this is what social media on the business side is all about. It's really about the fact that we trust our friends and even strangers more than we trust paid advertising these days. In fact, I always give out a pretty crazy stat. Within the past 12 months, 93% of consumers have either made a purchase or a hire based on a pure recommendation on social media or on a review site. So in other words, this is the way businesses earn these days. It's not about posting properties 7 times a week. That doesn't work. In fact, it backfires. You don't want to be a salesperson. What works is getting people to trust you and building communities online. And that's what we're going to try to teach you in this hour. Okay, so that's kind of the why. So now let's kind of jump into the how to do social media every day. So first of all, there's some high level items I always say you want to kind of factor in before you really get going. So the first one is you really got to think about your own time availability. You should look at your daily current schedule and really plot out, well, when can I fit in my little 5-minute chunks? Can I do 5 minutes in the morning before I head to the office? Can I do 5 minutes in the afternoon during the lunch hour? Where can I do my little 5-minute chunks? And the other piece is you got to be honest with yourself. How many sites can you really handle before you overwhelm yourself? If you're brand new or not very good at social media, just start out with 1 site. If you feel like you can handle a 2nd or a 3rd site, take on a 2nd or a 3rd site. But the worst thing you do is start off with, let's say, 6 social media sites and do a bad job on all 6. Okay. Second thing is you need to create and then live by what's called your own personal code of conduct, or some people call this a social contract. It's either a written or unwritten set of rules you're going to create for yourself of what you do and don't want to do on social media. I'm sure it's like in Europe the way it is in America. I guarantee you've probably either blocked or unfriended somebody in your life over the last year or two, purely because of politics or race or religion or things like that. So these are the typical things that people put in their code of conduct. I'm never going to get into political arguments online or racial discussions or anything like that because they typically can hurt your business pretty badly. Okay. Now that's something I'm a big believer in. Your personal life can screw up your real estate business very, very quickly. Got to be careful of that. Third part, and this is kind of the trickiest part of social media, is the tracking and adjusting. In other words, you're not going to do the exact same thing every day and get the same exact results. There is a little bit of tracking it, seeing how good results you got. And if it doesn't work, tweak it and trying something a little bit different. That could be different time of day, different messaging, maybe trying more pictures in there. It's a little bit of tracking and changing if something's not getting you the good results you're looking for. And then fourth is the setting up a schedule, the daily schedule, and sticking to it. that daily presence on a site is really the most important factor if you're going to get a lot of free exposure. And that's what you're looking for. And then some other strategies you might want to think about are things like making good, enticing profiles. And by the way, I'm talking about both your personal and your business profiles. What I'm a big believer in is your business profile should really be an extension of you, the person. Your business profile should talk about some of the hobbies and interests you have outside of real estate. You should maybe occasionally put a picture in there of you and maybe even your family or something like that into your business feeds as well, and put in what your hobbies and interests are. And the reason is you're building up connections with people that might have something in common. And at the same time, you're also making sure that the similar people are in your feed that you're looking for by putting this kind of information in. Second thing is you want to approach social media with the mindset of unmarketing and uncampaigning. What I mean by unmarketing, nobody goes to any social media site, even a site like LinkedIn, with the intention of being sold products to or learning things. They go there with a kind of more of a laid back kind of approach, and every once in a while something businessy might catch their attention, but that's not why they're there. So don't be a salesperson. And the uncampaigning part is there should be some variety into what you're putting into your feed. If every day is the exact same thing as the day before, just a link to an article out of your local news syndicate or whatever, that gets kind of boring. So you got to put a little bit of variety into your posting. Third is community building, which is, we're going to talk about how to do it in a little bit, but you don't have to be a salesperson at all if you community build online. And then fourth is probably the easiest part of social media. The tricky part is coming with ideas and content every day, but I'm going to give you a lot of help there in a moment. Okay. The tricky part, the easy part of social media is it's only going to take you a minute to type up a post once you have your idea. The other 4 or 5 minutes out of your 5-minute visit to that site should be participating in other people's lives. Could you go click a few like buttons on other people's posts? Could you go comment on a few things, wish a few people a happy birthday, or touch base with some old clients? Use social media as a way to stay in people's lives and stay top of mind. Okay, because if you don't interact with people, they won't be in your feed and you won't be in their feed. So you have to interact with people to increase that likelihood. And then who you should be, some of these are somewhat obvious, but always be yourself. Don't try to be fake online. Be fun and engaging. Even on your business account should be somewhat fun. Okay, be a pillar of your own community. Be a great source of information, whether it's about real estate or not. Like you could be helping out your community right now with coronavirus information, whatever you want to do. And then be a friend. Even on your business profiles, you're trying to be more of a friend than a businessy person, because friendship leads to business. Because the majority of business in social media comes from referrals and recommendations, not from direct hires. Okay, things you can talk about are things like the market. Your community is always fair game. Current events, as long as they're not polarizing, be careful of stuff like politics and race. Okay, and then anything that interests you. It could be a funny, interesting article or a video or whatever, someone else's post. If it interests you, then share it, and that could be your post for that visit. It doesn't have to be an original idea out of your head every morning. The line is just make sure it's not unprofessional, because that could cost you business. Some other things, your website and your blog. I'm a big believer in your website, your blog, and your social media accounts should be a 3-person team that work together to help each other out with traffic and content. In other words, if you wake up this morning and have no idea what you're going to post about it today on social media, go into your website, pull out a cool resource, fact, stat, or whatever, use that as your post for social media that day, and say, for more great resources, check out my website. So make them work together. Every time you do a blog post, tease it on social media, because that gives you content and hopefully traffic back to the blog or the website. Next is involving yourself. Okay. Again, even your business account, you need to try to make an effort that you should be in your feed. Your face should be in your feed every once in a while. If every post you do is just a stat or an article, that looks like you're not really involved in your social media. Make an effort to involve yourself. And then fourth are some custom out-of-the-box ideas. Some of the best realtors I know with social media came up with interesting ways to connect with their communities. There's ones that are doing things like 365, which is every day you post something new and cool about your community, and that gets a lot of people to live in your community really involved and engaging with you on it. I've heard other realtors do ideas like where they're connecting with their community for something the area is known for and really kind of dwelling on that, or just kind of being like what's called the digital mayor, where you're constantly posting information and stuff to do in your area, and everyone starts coming to you for ideas and content. Okay, so there's a lot of things you could do that aren't just posting articles and stats to give you some ideas. And things you shouldn't say and do are pretty obvious, but be careful of just talking about trivial things that nobody cares about. polarizing topics, being unprofessional yourself in any way, over inviting people to games and events and everything too often. And then again, be very careful of selling. Okay. And if you're looking for kind of a formula to follow, well, how often can I talk or post about real estate? Okay. Well, most social media experts, myself included, follow either a 90-10 or an 80-20 rule. And what that means is, let's say during the week, you've posted 10 total times on a site. 1 or 2 max, 10 to 20%, could you be promoting a property, a new listing or an open house, something like that. Okay. An occasional post about a property is fine, but it can't be every post you're doing. Now, the other 8 out of 10 could be about real estate, but they can't just be you trying to sell and market your properties, because that totally turns people off. Okay. And then if you're going to come up with the time and the effort to create a post on social media, the number one thing you've got to think about to make sure it has a chance to succeed is it has to be visual. Okay. If it's just typed up words, nobody reads them. They blow right past them in their feeds. The second you add a picture, it improves by almost 200%, 188% engagement. So grab a picture, put a link into a website which creates a screenshot of the picture. Or if you're able to add a video, it increases by 800% engagement. So add some kind of a visual to every single post, and that way it stands out. And if you don't have a visual, there's a reason why the sites have started giving you the ability to create a colored background behind your post, because that at least creates a visual. So at a minimum, use those colored backgrounds. If not, grab a picture, put a link to a website, or grab a video to put in there. And then your end goal is what you're really trying to achieve, okay, is you're really trying to connect with people, but more importantly, getting referrals and connections from them. That's where most of the business comes from. Third is getting people to like you and your profiles. That gets you more free exposure without having to spend money. And then fourth is actually meeting the people in real life, not just online, whether it's a one-on-one or, especially if you do the community building route, you get the entire online community and bring them together in real life, throwing events, okay, stuff like they're called meetups or tweetups. I guarantee you go to any restaurant in your area and tell them I want to bring a whole group of people here once a month. They're probably going to give you free appetizers the whole time. They love the online meetup scene because you start ordering alcohol and hopefully food as well. Okay. So if you're the organizer of that and bring everyone together in real life, that's guaranteed trust in business. And then I always say that's kind of your foundation, kind of the basic understanding of things. And once you get through that, really it's all about you coming up with your own strategy and niche. So what do you want people to know about and connect with you about? They got to make some connection of who you are. Is it you want to focus on some knowledge and expertise you have in or out of real estate? Is it you want to kind of play to your strengths that you have, or your crazy personality, or you're very involved in certain activities, or is it you have an existing marketing strategy, you want to tie that to your social media strategy? You got to come up with some kind of a strategy to help you do social media every day and connect with people. So for example, I go by the Real Estate Tech Guru because I am a geek who loves technology, and almost my whole business runs on real estate. And if any of you guys ever end up following me online after this, which you're more than welcome to do, I'm the same way on the internet as I am in a classroom or at an event. I just like helping people solve their little tech issues, right? Now, I don't do tech support, but I have students that pop in on me all the time asking me, hey, Craig, you know an app that can do this, or a quick little shortcut, how to cut down my time? I answer those questions all the time because it kind of ties to my strengths and my personality. So if you're going to come up with your own strategy, I always say there's 3 different directions you can go with this. Strategy number 1 is you're going to be a topic expert, okay? And here it's pretty obvious you're a realtor because you're always giving out tips and information and resources about your knowledge and your expertise on that topic. Strategy number 2 has nothing to do with real estate. Pick something outside of real estate you're very passionate about. It could be that you love being outdoor lifestyle, hunting and fishing, or whatever it might be. Or it could be that you want to form a community around all the other realtors or business people in your area. Or maybe that you have a child with autism, you want to form a group with everyone else that has in the area that has children with autism. So strategy number 2, you're not selling at all. You're just building community, okay? And in strategy 3, could you possibly mix your passion of real estate with your passion outside of real estate? And the example I'm giving here is like living and fishing in Italy, where you're constantly putting out there that you love being on the water, you love the fish, that's your lifestyle. But you're also a realtor. You'd be the perfect realtor for somebody to choose if they're looking for property in that lifestyle. So strategy number 3 is really the lifestyle realtor kind of play. So that's something you might want to kick around in your head. What would my personal strategy be? All right, the third piece you really got to address here is your time management. You can't be struggling for ideas every morning when you wake up or you want to post about that day, okay? So first of all, every minute of your day is already spoken for, so you can't waste time in social media. In fact, this is a study that shows why people fail and give up with social media and blogging. And it's all about time management or being overwhelmed and confused. It's a major reason people fail, okay? So first of all, if you download this course, you can print this out. This is a little daily posting calendar that I create that you can use. But it allows you to go in and say which sites I'm going to do, what days of the week, and what times am I going to do it, and really help you plan out your posting schedule yourself. Typically, for most people, planning it out helps them big time, especially getting going, okay? And then some other things we're going to give you in a moment. I'm going to start giving you some great tools and resources for you to get ideas for posting content. I can totally solve your problem for content. The one thing I can't solve for you, you got to figure out on your own, is how you'll handle the information that comes back to you. In other words, if you post at 10:15 in the morning and by noon already 32 people have commented, are you that kind of person that every single time you see a notification on your phone pops in and replies to them? Or are you that person that says, well, I'm scheduled to do social media at lunch, I'll respond to everyone then? I can't make you be that notification person that's constantly going into your social media. For a lot of people, that screw up their entire day. But there's no doubt the faster you get back to people, the more response you get, because it's like a ping pong match going back and forth, okay? So do what you can handle on the reply side. But for content, I can absolutely help you. So first of all, there are what are called social media posting calendars. Sites like ThriveHive and HubSpot and my own site, which is RETI. What they are calendars where you could just look and say, what should I post about today? Every day of the year, there's at least one stupid holiday. And you can look at a social media posting calendar and say, okay, I have nothing to talk about, but today's National Hot Dog Day. I'll go post about hot dogs, okay? So calendars fill in the blanks when you don't have ideas what you're gonna post about. And again, my site posts one every single month that's really kind of niched out of different ideas you can talk about every day of the week of the month. And then even like, what are the hot hashtags you use for that month and things like that. So again, create a calendar. It really helps you stay organized. And then these additional calendars help you fill in the blanks when you don't have an idea to talk about. Some other great tools like Flipboard, okay? Flipboard is an app. I'm not sure how great it is in Europe, but it's amazing in America. It's the best news aggregating app there is. So you go into Flipboard, there's already news categories for news and business and sports and things like that. But the cool part about Flipboard is, and it's free, you can create your own personal magazine. So if you want to create a real estate magazine, all you got to do is type in the word real estate. And anytime you click into your real estate magazine, it would pull in every story on the internet from that day from everywhere. And you can flip through every story until you find one you're interested in. If you click into that story, you then can read it, share it right out to social media right from there. So Flipboard is great for just keeping you on top of the business and giving you ideas and even content to post directly to social media. So it's a great tool for that. If you'd rather do it more like in a news feed, Google Alerts are great for that. You just type in the word real estate and every day you'll receive an email with a newsletter of every news story on the internet about real estate in an email newsletter format. So if you'd rather do it this way versus Flipboard, it kind of does the same thing. And then Houzz is fantastic for, especially if you want to do real estate imagery posting. I'm sure there's realtors in your market that are always posting pictures of just amazing houses and incredible landscaping. You're like, where did they get these pictures? I know they're not in their inventory. They probably got them from Houzz. So Houzz has millions of pictures of every room in the house and outside the house. And every picture on the site is free and safe to share out to social media. So what Houzz is great for is a conversational real estate post. Is this an amazing kitchen? Is this a cool idea for a kid's bedroom? Is this a great idea to organize your garage? So it really helps you get a conversational real estate post going to get people talking about real estate online. And then what I'm talking about here with sharing is caring. As I mentioned earlier, every post you do does not come after your own head, okay? If you go on a site this morning, and even if one of your competitors posted something that is really cool or interesting, share it. That could be your content for that visit. You don't have to come up with new ideas every time. Other people's content can be your content. So that's a big deal. And then also, you should utilize some social media sites for content for other sites. Probably the best example of this is Pinterest. And we're going to talk about the sites in a moment, which ones you should and shouldn't use. And Pinterest is a strong site, okay? But if you don't know how it works, you can create your own, they're called vision boards on Pinterest. So for example, I have a board on Pinterest just for infographics, which are very popular on social media, where you post almost like posters with stats and information in them. I don't have time to create infographics myself, but I have a board on Pinterest that pulls them all in for me. And if I go there, I'm like, oh, that's a great one today for LinkedIn. There's my content for LinkedIn for that day. Oh, this one's a great one for Facebook. I'll use it for Facebook. So one site can give you content for other sites. And Pinterest is probably the best example of that. And then, by the way, if you're not aware of Canva, for designing things, if you need to make a nice looking social media post or a header for the top of your account, those what are called leaderboard pictures, with Canva, Canva can design anything: business cards, flyers, posters, social media posts, and so on. It's a free service where you can go in and say, I want to design anything. And let's say you want to only create a post for social media, you want to create one for Instagram. It'll give you the exact right size for a post for Instagram with beautiful templates already designed by professional graphic artists. So it's very easy to go in and make little changes to these templates, and within seconds have a nice looking post for social media 2 seconds later. But again, you can create your flyers in here, your brochures, anything you want in Canva. It's phenomenal. Okay. And by the way, if you're just going to do a site or two, you would not need a tool like Hootsuite. Hootsuite is a paid program. Okay. But if you get really heavily into social media and trying to juggle multiple different sites, and you're like, I don't have time to go to every site, well, then you might want to look into buying something like Hootsuite, because it's what's called a social media dashboard. Someone like me uses Hootsuite because I have too many social media accounts and too many groups I'm a part of and everything to manage. So with Hootsuite, I can check all my social media accounts from one location, and I can reply to people, and I can comment on their stuff and everything else. And I can even post all my social media sites out of one place and even schedule it to go there at whatever time I want. Okay. So again, if you're just going to do a site or two, you don't need Hootsuite. But if you really are having time management troubles, juggling too much, it is an option to look into. All right. So now we're moving into the final piece, which is the psychology. Okay. And this is where we talked about there's so many social media sites now, you don't have time for all of them. You just have times for the ones that are really right for you personally. So Susanna, you might pick a site or two that are totally different than a site or two that Irvin picks. Okay. It's all about picking the right sites for yourself based on your own business and the kind of person, the kind of client you're trying to reach, because each site is very different than the next one. So if a typical realtor is going to pick out a social media site, the conversation usually starts and ends with Facebook as being the first site, because Facebook's numbers are just mind-blowing. Okay. They have 2.5 billion active users. Now, to put that in perspective, there's only 7.5 billion people on our planet. Okay. So 1 out of every 3 people has a Facebook account. And that includes the fact they're blocked in China and several other countries around the world. And still 1 out of 3 people has an active Facebook account. Even scarier, half of their audience goes every single day. So it is so much bigger than the competition. It's not even funny. It's now the #2 website in the world for traffic behind Google. It is #1 by far on the internet for time spent. People spend way more time on Facebook than they do on any other site. Okay. So it dominates in so many ways, but Facebook gets scarier when you consider the rest of their network, because they also own Instagram, which is your second most popular social media site with 1.5 billion users. And the truth is, Facebook owns your over 30 crowd and Instagram owns your under 30 crowd. So if you're trying to go after one of those 2 age groups, you pick between the 2 Facebook sites. If you want both age groups, both under and over 30, you're doing both Facebook sites, Facebook and Instagram, because they're so much bigger in the competition. It's amazing. You're going to see that in 2 seconds. But by the way, they also own WhatsApp, the most popular messaging tool on earth with over 2 billion users. And they own Facebook Messenger, the second most popular messaging tool with 1.5 billion users. Now, I know some people have more than one of these. Some people even have all 4 of them. But if you add up all 4 of those aggregately, that is the world's population, 7.5 billion people using those 4 tools. Okay. And to show you what I mean by how Facebook and Instagram are so much bigger than the competition. Again, Facebook is 2.5 billion. Instagram is 1.5 billion. You say, take them out of the rankings, show me the next 5 sites, they add up to 1.5 billion total. So they dwarf the competition. They really do. So in my opinion, when you're picking social media sites, the conversation starts and ends with Facebook and Instagram. Are you doing one or both? And do you have time or a reason to take on another site? And what I mean by a reason, okay, if you're going after a certain demographic, you might take on a different site. Or if you have time to do more than those 2 sites, you would take them on, okay? But really, because they're so much bigger in the competition, it really starts with the Facebook and or Instagram. And are you going to do any others? Because they're so much bigger, your time is best spent on those 2 sites. And by the way, both sites, Facebook and Instagram, have the same structure. They're broken up to two different networks. You have your personal profile, which is totally meant for your personal life, and that's where you have friendship requests. And you have the business page, which is all meant for your business life, and that's where you like businesses. So you're friends with a person, you like a business. That part most people pretty much understand, but I always say there's a few things the typical person doesn't about the difference. The first one is, let's say you set up your business page and you start telling your customer base, go to the business page instead of the personal. There is no button or link or anything that will allow them to click over to your personal profile. So they have no way to get there unless they know your name. Now, let's say they know your name and find your personal profile. If you don't want them in your personal account, you just go into your privacy settings and say, I don't want to be found by only friends of friends. And you can even make your account what's called limited access, and they really won't see anything on your account other than your picture and your name and the friend button. Okay, so if you're really worried about consumers getting into your personal account, you can keep them out easily. And the other major difference is how much real exposure you can get every day when you're posting. When you're on your personal profile, your audience size is really limited to the number of friends that you have, and maybe a few extra random people if the setting is public, but you're really limited to your audience side on your personal profile. On the business page, it kicks in Facebook advertising, which we're going to talk about very briefly. But Facebook advertising, everyone calls it that, but also includes Instagram and what's called the audience net, which is really every site on the internet that sells advertising. But so the truth is, if you have enough money, you could reach the entire world through their business page post, whereas you're limited to your audience size on your personal. So that is a major difference. And by the way, when it comes to your business pages, they're very quick and easy to run. You're not talking about a lot of time investment, short little post every day. And the real big goal is you're trying to get as many like button clicks. You don't have to spend money on advertising all the time. The more free exposure, the better. And one of the other big advantages of a business account versus a personal is every social media site that has a business account has a button up there called Insights. Insights is your own statistics and analytics area. So on a business page, you know exactly how many people see every post, and did people engage with it, and what's the best time of day to post and everything else. On a personal profile, you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So that is a cool advantage on a business account. You get stats and data, okay? And then also Facebook Messenger for Business. Facebook has put a ton of emphasis into this on the business side. If you activate Facebook Messenger on your business page, well, what happens is Facebook is literally tracking how fast you respond to people. And if you take too long, they'll literally start diminishing the amount of people who see your business page. So you want to take advantage of that and respond to people very quickly, and then they boost and give you more free exposure if you're responsive. So be aware of it and take advantage of it. And then the other big advantage of a business page is the advertising. And as I mentioned, it includes both Facebook, Instagram, and almost every advertising site. So Facebook advertising, in my opinion, is the best bang for the buck in the marketing world right now because it's very low cost and the targeting capabilities are incredible. And the quick little thing, I don't have time to go deep into this in the time we have, but the one major thing I want to make sure you guys know about Facebook advertising, which most people don't, there's a huge difference between a boost and an ad. And when I talk to most realtors, say, which one did you do? Oh, I boosted it. And I tell them right away, you screwed up, okay? A boost is when you're already in the write a post box, the create a post screen. You've already typed it up, you've already put in your pictures and everything, and you click on the boost button. And because you've really already created the copy and everything for your post, it's a shortcut to set up an ad. So you're just saying, all right, in 2 seconds, I want to spend $5 to get more people to see this. If you're smart, you instead run it as an ad. So you go up to the create menu and click ad. It might add 15 or 20 minutes to the setup of your ad. It will add more time to this, okay? But you're gonna have so many more settings and steps in the process to get much better targeting capabilities, to change the look and feel of your ads, add a call to action button into it and everything else. So if you're smart, you run it as an ad, the ad will perform much, much better because it looks different and you have much better targeting capabilities. All right, and then on the personal side, really fast, again, yes, you can use your personal for business, just be aware it can damage your business side if you do anything improper. So just be careful if you are going to use your personal profile for business. And then lastly on Facebook is Live, okay? And by the way, I put at the bottom there, it's not just Facebook Live that's big right now. All the major sites, Facebook Live, Instagram Stories, Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube are giving away the candy store for live streaming video. What I mean by that is if you record a video and upload it to any of those sites, you'll get your normal audience size seeing it. If your normal post gets 50 views, you get 50 views. If you live stream instead, you typically get between 10 and 20 times the exposure for free. So instead of 50, you might get 500 to 1,000. Okay. So if you're smart, you should be live streaming almost everything these days because it gets way more eyeballs for free. Take advantage of that on all the big sites. And as I mentioned, it really starts with the Facebook, Instagram question first, and then do you have time or reason to take on the others? So we're going to quickly blast through the other sites, starting with Twitter. And I'm in no way saying Twitter is the next best site. In fact, in my opinion, I think Twitter is a total waste of time for the real estate world. It is by far the hardest one to get a return on your investment and time on, okay? And the major reason is really that last bullet. Twitter's never meant for a normal person to really have a chance to build a business on. What it's meant for is a normal person to get access to something you normally never have access to. Celebrities, the government, and the media. Celebrities love Twitter because they have 10 million followers following everything they do 24 hours a day. So does the media and so do governments, okay? Because it's very easy to build a big following and have a lot of people follow what you're doing. But for a typical realtor to build up a following on Twitter, it's very hard to do. So to me, it's really not the best one to invest your time on. LinkedIn's the exact opposite. Any realtor should at least have a presence on LinkedIn because this is your business professional network. I'm not sure how big it is in Europe, but it's huge in America. It is the site with by far the highest demographics of income and education level and profession and everything. So it is your business network. Now, if you're just going to use it sparingly, you don't have to come up with ideas and content every day for LinkedIn. But if it's going to be one of your major sites, now you got to come up with business-oriented content all the time. Okay, YouTube is by far the biggest video site there is. It's actually number 2 search engine now as well. Okay, so and especially if you're going after the younger audience, the under 30s, this is now their TV. So it is a great network to catch them on, especially if you start creating video. And I teach a lot about video because it is the most dominant thing in the marketing world these days. Do any of you guys know, is Nextdoor available in Europe yet? I don't see anybody saying yay or nay. So I'm going to assume no. So I'm going to go past Nextdoor, but if it does come to Europe, Nextdoor is a neighborhood-specific social media site. So any neighborhood can create their own Nextdoor section and allows neighbors and vendors and everyone to talk to each other and kind of just for that neighborhood. It's a really cool site. A lot of realtors in America use it. Okay. Pinterest, another site you might want to look into, because Pinterest, in a way, is similar to Instagram where it's very visual. It's all about pictures and videos. And even though it's a fifth of the size of Instagram, we're talking 300 million versus 1.5 billion. Pinterest's audience is completely different than Instagram's, and it's usually the exact audience a realtor targets. When a realtor usually targets the household, they usually target the one person that makes every decision in the household, the female, okay? And 82% of the users of Pinterest is a female over the age of 21. And because it's a very mature female audience, the home does really, really well on Pinterest. So you've looked at the top categories of Pinterest. It's recipes, fashion, rooms, decorating, furniture, color swatches, do-it-yourself idea projects, everything, okay? So the home does really, really well on Pinterest, and it's a female audience. And it also can help you drive traffic to your own website. Because anything pinned on Pinterest, somebody clicks to the picture, they go to the website where the picture came from. So if you pin things from your own website, it's a great way to drive traffic to your site. And then you also have Snapchat, okay? Snapchat is another site that's very popular with the under 30 crowd. And it's both a messaging platform and a social media site. So you could either send messages to people or someone to post things to social media. The premise of either is it's both very temporary, private, and disappears. So if I send you a message, you have 10 seconds to watch it, and 10 seconds later, poof, it disappears out of your phone. If you post it to social media, it goes to your feed for 24 hours, and then poof, it disappears after a day. So the reason why a lot of your generation does like it, and a lot of them still do, it's very private and very encrypted. So if you're trying to figure out what your kids or grandkids are doing, good luck. That's exactly why they're using it, okay? But here's the deal with Snapchat. They've had a brutal past year. About a year and a half ago, this was the hot site. This was supposed to be your next Facebook. In the past year, the stock has lost over 90% of its value, and that was before the whole stock market crash of the last month, okay? They've also lost membership a lot, mainly because when this was the hot site, every industry was telling their members, go join Snapchat, that's their next Facebook. And what happened was every older person that joined, 3 young ones left. So almost all the younger people have now either moved to either Instagram or the next site we're going to talk about, which is TikTok. Okay. And TikTok is the new hot site. This is the one that's exploding over the last couple of months. And TikTok is kind of a mashup of social media and music videos. So it allows you to make quick little like music videos very easily. So it's very cool in that way. Okay. And it is gaining popularity like crazy. But the one thing that I like to point out about TikTok, just to be aware of, is you do need to know one very important fact, and it's part of the reason why I have a very tough problem promoting TikTok to use, is it's based out of China, okay? And first of all, to run a website in China means you have to give a complete backdoor to the Chinese government. So in other words, the Chinese government knows everything you're doing in TikTok, which gives them so much information. More importantly, if you read TikTok's terms of service, you're literally giving away everything when you sign up for TikTok. Not just your activity in TikTok, but your keystrokes, your camera, activity, everything is in TikTok's terms of service. So I'm having a tough time promoting this. I mean, I don't know about your governments, but US government has banned all government employees from using TikTok for these reasons. I mean, you're really giving away the candy store in your privacy and your terms. And again, directly to the Chinese government. So it is hot, it is fun to use, but it is a bit of a concern for that reason. Okay. So again, to me, it really starts with the Facebook, Instagram question first. Are you doing one or both? And then do you have a reason or time to take on another? If you enjoy TikTok, use it. If you're going after the female sector, you might want to use Pinterest. If you're going after the business crowd, you might want to take on LinkedIn. Okay. So it's all about time and purpose if you're going to take on more than Facebook and Instagram, because of the fact that Facebook and Instagram dominate so much. So real quick, my one little shameless plug of the session. Other than the fact that I do speak all over the world at events, I do run a site called RETI.us. It's not just me. I have 5 or 6 other speakers that are very popular in the real estate industry, where every single Wednesday, and you'd have to adjust this for your time zone, but every Wednesday at 3 Eastern American, we do free webinars every single week. So again, every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern in America, we do free webinars every week on different topics. And by the way, if you can't catch it at that time, we leave our webinars open for a week on our site. So if you don't catch it on Wednesday at 3 Eastern, you could watch it for the next 7 days on our website, okay? But if you need help learning about technology or marketing or anything like that, we have over 2,000 instructional videos and product reviews and webinars on everything real estate, tech, and marketing and cybersecurity. So if you are interested, that's a little promo code. You get an account at a discount. But again, the weekly webinars every week are free. You just only have a week to watch them. Okay. All right. So I know I kind of tried to plow through that in the limited amount of time we had. So Saba, do you want to open it up to questions and take people off mute, or, oh, thank you so much. I saw that clap. Appreciate that.
Well, Craig, it was wonderful to hear all about this bunch of different applications. And as I thought, it sometimes frightened me. You know, you have to know all of these things, but if I understood you well, I can relax and say I'm okay if I choose what is the most important. And if I can exercise... You say it's Facebook and Instagram for real estate is something you must do. You have to do, and you can start with that. And if you need some more, then you can do it.
Yeah, well, again, when you look at their audience size, I mean, the 3rd largest social media site is only 330 million users, right? So when you look at 1.5 billion and 2.5 billion, everyone's on those 2 sites. So it's really about, again, are you going after the under 30 crowd, over 30 crowd, or both of them? If you want both audiences, you got to be on Instagram. And I don't know the stats for the European market, but I can tell you in America, the millennial generation, which most people still treat like kids, are the #1 customer doing real estate in America now, 37% of transactions. And they're totally on Instagram, okay? So that's what I mean by if you want that millennial audience, you got to be on Instagram and maybe TikTok added to it. But over 30s, every over 30 is on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And one question that was, often I thought about that, and I feel uncomfortable thinking about hearing all the time about Twitter. Everybody do this. This was on Twitter. I never accepted it as naturally and simply as Facebook. Do the people in real estate use Twitter for something, or it's still for some other purposes?
Not for real estate, and the ones that try it fail, in my opinion. I've rarely run into realtors who say I've built a business on Twitter, very rarely. And the ones that have are so active on the site, it's crazy. I mean, they're there 20 times a day. Again, Twitter is never meant for a normal person. It's meant for us to connect to things we don't normally connect with: celebrities, the government, and the media. Okay. And the other thing is, if you really look into the metrics of Twitter, they've consistently lost audience over the last couple of years. It's actually a shrinking site popularity-wise, and it is a completely unstable financial site. Twitter's only had one profitable quarter in their entire history, and that was second quarter of 2019, when they literally fired half of their staff. Okay, so Twitter has been a failure from day one, and the only reason people don't realize it's such a failure is the media and celebrities. The media and celebrities pump Twitter like crazy because of what they can do with it and how they can interact with it. But really, people aren't really going to Twitter anymore, other than connecting with celebrities and those things we talked
about. Okay, and another point is when we speak about Facebook, usually each of us has our profile, and then it's suggested to use the business page connected with our profile, and use business page for promoting our properties, listings, or activities.
Right.
What I saw is very often that the people use their personal page for promoting the listings. What do you think about that? If I understood well, it's better to separate it and to use the business page for promoting listings, and personal profile for just establishing relationship with on personal base.
Yeah. So first of all, on the personal side, you definitely want to promote properties on your business, without doubt. Okay. To do it on your personal occasionally is okay. But I'm not, again, I don't know about every country's rules for this. I can tell you in America, the National Association of Realtors in America has a rule about promoting sales for properties for sale on a personal profile on social media. So in America, you're not allowed to, you can say, I have a new listing. You can say, I have an open house this weekend on a personal profile. You're not allowed to do it with a price. If you put a price on a personal profile, that could violate those terms. It's in the Code of Ethics. With NAR, again, I don't know about every country if it has the same exact rule for that, but in America, if you want to put a price on it, it has to be on the business. And a lot of realtors don't even know that. Every time I teach it, there's at least half the room that goes, oh my God, I didn't even know that. But again, even if if that rule doesn't exist in your country, the other part is you also got to realize you're kind of annoying some of your friends sometimes when you're trying to sell to them. So one of the things that I always teach when I have more time to get into it is on your personal profiles, on your personal accounts, you can create what are called lists, L-I-S-T-S. A list allows you to kind of categorize or group your friends into these different lists. And what it means is from that point on, when you do a post, you can target every post you do from that moment on to whatever list you want to see the message.
And that's on personal profile.
That's on personal, okay? So if you create a list of people you think are potential buyers, or if ex-clients or whatever, you can say, I want to promote this property for sale just to that list and not annoy all your real life friends who don't want a house right now. Okay. So that is a trick you could do to kind of target your messages on your personal profile, is creating lists. But again, whether it's your business profile or your personal, it doesn't matter. You don't want to sell too much. It still gets annoying if you're too salesy, which is why you want to follow that 90-10 or 80-20 rule and just occasionally post about properties.
Again, on the business page, we can do the same, separate the groups of attendees. Or
on a business page, everyone that likes your business page is a potential audience person. There's really no targeting unless you do a paid ad. But and Joe, by the way, the way it works on the business side is, let's say your page has 500 likes, okay? And let's say you post at 9:30 in the morning, the only ones out of the 500 that see it are the ones that are on the site around that time and that have a recent interest in what you're talking about. So if I liked your page 3 years ago and I come on at 9:15, but I've had no interest and haven't talked about real estate at all during those 3 years, the odds are it's not going to be in my feed. Okay. or if I don't come on the site till 2 in the afternoon, it probably won't be in my feed. So it's again, out of your likes, it's who's on the site around that time and has a recent interest in your topic. It used to be 100%, but they've really watered that down and gave you left exposure on your business page because they're almost pushing you to buy the paid ads.
Again, if I understood you well, and I'm recently making that separation, if you want something to promote from your business page, it's easy to pay and to do the boosting. But you can achieve the good results only making that post as ad, creating it as ad, and that's different.
Well, okay, I don't want to make it sound like you can't have success with a boost, but because it's a fast shortcut to set it up, you miss out on some important targeting steps. And you also miss out on like if you do it as a boost, it looks like everything else in the feed. It's going to be just a picture, a video, your little description you typed up, and that's really it. If you do it as an ad, you get to choose some very different ad layout styles where it could have collages, it could have little slideshows going on, and all these different like designs that look completely different in the feed. So because they look different, they stand out when people are scrolling, which means higher engagement and clicks. So again, doing a boost could succeed, but doing it as an ad has a better chance to succeed because it looks different, better targeting, and everything else.
And from the side of the costs, for ad, you must pay, or you can do some things without payment and some better things with payment or whatever.
Well, if you're asking, is a boost a different price than an ad? There's zero difference in the price. They're going to cost the exact same amount. Okay. It's just, are you going to spend the extra few minutes to set it up better? Okay. So again, a boost is a shortcut. An ad is going to add some more minutes to your setup. It's just going to run better at the same price.
It gives you more. It gives you opportunity to look to choose a look and to choose a different. To brand it.
And it also adds a step. I didn't get into this. It adds a step called your post objective, and you can choose or what your objective is. But if you say my objective of this ad is I want to drive more people to my page and get more like button clicks, it adds a little button into your post with a little thumb and the word like, and that stands out in the feed, makes people click on the button. If you say my goal is website traffic, it adds a button in there with a little globe and the word website, so people click on that button. So other than the fact the whole ad looks different, it adds a button in there, which again makes people click higher. So everything about an ad performs better because you're taking longer to set it up and putting better stuff into it. Okay, but again, I'm not saying a boost can't work. It's just smarter to do it as an ad.
Yeah, this gives more opportunity. If someone has any question for Craig to use the opportunity when we have him here on this webinar alive, just let me know about that. In the meantime, I will ask what I intended to do. Again, you told something that I can recognize as very interesting for our industry, and that is Flipboard.
Oh, Flipboard's great. Yeah. So Flipboard can be used as a website, but it's way better as an app on your mobile device. It really does allow you, like I can go into Flipboard right now. You're not going to be able to see this completely on your end, but I can go into Flipboard, click on my real estate magazine. And all I had to do was type in the word real estate to create the real estate magazine. But I can start flipping through every story on the internet today about real estate. And if I find one I'm interested in, I can click into it, read that article, and then share it right out to social media with my own comments. So just for content and ideas, Flipboard's fantastic.
So I can feel like having my magazine with creating my magazine with this application.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I mean, you can type in your town you live in. You can type in real estate. You can type in whatever your personal hobby or interest is, and it'll create a personalized magazine for your topic.
Do the colleagues in the United States use this at a larger level?
Do what? I'm sorry? Do who?
Do the colleagues in the United States, realtors, do they use this Flipboard on some larger level or not?
I'm not saying that everyone uses it. I teach it. I give it as a great content tool because a lot of people don't know about it or know it can be used that way. It is a very popular app, but I mean, it's not like every realtor uses it because most realtors honestly struggle big time with content ideas. You wake up this morning like, what am I going to post about? So that's why I cover so much about the time management piece, because that way you're not struggling every day and you kind of have a good game plan. But I use Flipboard, I use Houzz to, again, for imagery. I use Pinterest to kind of cross post to other sites. I mean, and I share other people's content. Sometimes I just post what I want to talk about that day. Like, it kind of helps you create variety into your feed as well, if you're using different tools for different content.
And another question: if we speak about the different type of properties, for example, luxurious properties comparing with residential cheaper properties or something like that, is there some application or media that is better for some of them and worse for the others?
I don't think so. I mean, because it's not, other than the fact most sites are really broken down, if you're talking about demographically, by ages. You don't really have sites that have lower income levels that I'm aware of, other than the fact that, of course, the younger sites will have a lower income user than a higher, than some of the other sites like LinkedIn, which has the highest income. But you're typically seeing all age groups across the sites. But again, if you're going for the first-time buyers, the younger buyers, they're not on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok, and they're on Snapchat. Those are the major ones they're on, at least in America.
Okay, Alexander, I will include you to ask this question directly. Unmute.
Yep, I see it.
Go ahead, Alexander.
Okay, so he's asking, would you be so nice to tell us what is your opinion about engaging others?
Hi, Greg. Thank you very much for this very helpful presentations.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to ask you something about the companies, the little companies on Instagram. They used to send us a questionnaire about if we could engage them to follow the others. I mean, to how to become much more and larger with the followers. And I'm asking you about your stand and what's your opinion about those little smaller, I mean, in a way, in real estate, because they're offering how to enlarge our followers. I mean, if they have over 50,000 followers, they're trying to promote us, because I was doing by myself, I was doing by myself. I search for the followers, I search for the groups, and then that's how I create my number. So I'm asking you, what do you think about them? Are they small? Is it for the beginning? Is this good enough to take them?
I think I understand the question. And basically, is it bad for you to try to connect with somebody who has a ton of users? In my opinion, absolutely not. I mean, the algorithms that the sites use factor in who your connections are. So if you are connected, like you're following, and hopefully they follow you back, somebody who is seen as an influencer or has a lot of traction on the site, that boosts your score. So yeah, I mean, and most people that have a lot of followers, they're not usually jerks. They usually will accept everyone kind of following them. Your hope is they're gonna follow you back, because that's the real value. Okay, you following a celebrity helps them. The hope is you want that person with a lot of followers to follow you back. And typically that's not going to happen unless there's some engagement. So,
well, listen, that's what I was doing for almost 2 years. When I have spare time, I do the follow all the time. So, but that's not the professional way how to look at it. I need more followers. So maybe I'll engage someone. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, somebody who has that many followers, they don't always follow everyone back unless at some point you engage with them and you connected somehow or whatever it might be. I mean, if you look at the numbers, usually it shows you how many people are following them and how many people they follow, and they're usually completely lopsided. You know what I mean? Where they have way more people following them than back. So it's hard to get somebody that's that popular to follow you unless there's some kind of connection that happens. So I think that's a little bit tricky one to kind of pull off. Now, what builds you getting followers and builds engagement is you creating content that people see a value. I mean, if you're just posting garbage every day that other people aren't seeing value in, they're not going to follow you. But if you're putting out good information or interesting or funny stuff, that gets you traction. So It's really about you. And now, of course, you could do a paid campaign to open up your audience to see more of it, but it's really about the content you're putting out there.
Thank you.
Always, if you want to pay somebody to do something, at least you can pay.
Yeah.
Whether will you get what you paid for or not, that's different.
I saw a stat the other day. It was for Fortune 500 companies, they're expected to dedicate almost 50% of their ad budgets this year to social media influencers. It's crazy. Like, these people that are popular on social media are getting paid more than TV networks and radio stations and everything. Like, it's amazing how much money they're making now. But again, they're typically, someone that's that popular is not going to do it for free.
If you consider marketing, comparing internet marketing to newspapers or magazines or whatever, every other that is not internet marketing,
Yep.
how does it look? Where are the most investment for real estate promotion?
To me, and by the way, I didn't mention this, but my background, now I've been in the real estate industry as a speaker and running a couple tech companies since 2005. My background before that is I used to be the national director for digital media for the New York Times. So I grew up in the newspaper industry. Now, I was on their internet side, not their print side. But if you compare social media marketing to almost all other marketing out there, it destroys it from a targeting and costs perspective. And I always talk about this when I teach marketing. As a consumer, I'm sure some of you guys hate the fact that websites spy on you and collect your data. I know a lot of people hate it. But the fact is, as a marketer, take advantage of that, because nobody collects more data than social media sites. So the targeting capabilities on social media are mind-blowing. I mean, I can target you based on what company you work for, your hobbies or interests, what sites you visited. I mean, so many things down to the granular targeting capabilities exist in social media you don't get in other places.
Okay, if there's not any other question, we can come back to screen and say thank you very much, Craig, for accepting my invitation one more time. I see the people are happy with your presentation. In chat box I see only greetings to you, and people are thanking to you because you were with us today, sharing this knowledge and skills for this and helping us to improve our business after as soon as we expect to continue it. I hope everybody was satisfied with this. I will, as always, I will make. I was recording that, and it will be on my YouTube channel, so you can. I will personally do it. I will watch it again and again because Craig put so much of content in this, and sometimes it was not easy to follow. But that's why we have a recorded session, and then we can watch it later. Thank you all for participating. You will be informed as always about the next guest and next webinar that will be next week. And we will continue doing it. We wish to you, Craig, and to everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay active.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I just put in the chat room the link to download the class material if you want it, and the link if you do want to sign up for an account with the promo code. And once things get back to normal, tell your people about me if you want me to come to Europe. Love to take a trip.
We won't lose you. We will stay in touch, and please send me your PPT as I could share with everybody. Okay. Presentation from now. Yep. Thank you. All the best.
Yep. Stay safe.